right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Sanctuary Radio Show. I am Wendy Cherry, and I am your host. Thank you so much for joining us. As you know, if you have been in the Sanctuary before, I want to transfer the video over to my other groups so that it'll appear there too. So give me a second and then I will introduce my guests. One moment. So we are here in the Washington, D.C. area, and we have like a torrential rains, and we've gotten a lot of broadcasts on the phone to be careful. So if anything just shuts down, just know that that's what's happening on our end. My guests are in Washington, D.C. I am here in Virginia, Northern Virginia. So that's what's happening if you see us fade out or something like that. So just bear with us. So again, welcome to the Sanctuary. I am Wendy Cherry and I am your host. We are here back for summer school, and summer school is a way to help us prepare ourselves for the second wave, is what I'm calling it, of Corona. It's already here. They're shutting stuff down, and I'm from New Jersey, and they just said today, if I'm coming from Virginia to try to go see my mama, then I got to quarantine for 14 days somewhere. And so my mama was like, you stay home. So I have not seen my mother since December. So that's a little difficult. So what we're trying to do is to offer guidance and to give you some tools for how to navigate this unprecedented time. We ain't never seen this before. Our generation has never seen this before. And so every day is something new and every day is the same. We were just talking about that here. It gets getting a little boring. It is also getting a little depressing. And so many of you have children and grandchildren and little kids that are still in school. And if you, depending on where you are in Virginia, here in Fairfax County, they just voted last night that school was going to be virtual, period. At first, they gave the kids an opportunity to go in 2 days a week and then to pick virtual. My daughter opted to go in because she's a social butterfly and she just needed to get out of the house. Well, last night, the superintendent voted that it's a wrap. Everybody's home, and he's getting a lot of pushback for that. And so I know a lot of you have a lot of different thoughts about it. It scares a lot of people. And a lot of people think that their children will be, left behind, or they won't be able to really get what they need. So I have awesome guests here. They are from the Sankofa Homeschool collective and community, and they have been combined homeschooling for more than 20 years. So I'm going to let them share their story. So first I want to welcome, and we call them Mama Jessica and Mama Monica. So welcome to the Sanctuary, and Mama Monica, welcome for the second time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
for having us.
Yes. So Mama Monica, I had you on the show before because I really wanted people to understand that, this was an option. I heard about this option when my daughter was probably going into high school. I'd never heard of it before. Had her in very traditional schools here, and she was not thriving. She was not doing well. She was being stressed out to pass what is in here is the Virginia SOL test. The only thing they were doing was teaching the children to pass the test. And as a fifth, sixth, and seventh grader, my daughter was able to articulate that the energy coming from the administration all the way down to her teachers was that they were just trying to pass the test. And she would say, that teacher is stressing me out because she just needs us to pass the test. So how intuitive is that of a little child to know? She says, Mommy, I'm not learning anything. Now, had I been smart enough or not smart enough, had I been informed enough, I would have had her in Montessori very early on because she's a unique learner. Mm-hmm. So will you, Mama Monica and Mama Jessica, please share with us you know, how you became aware of homeschooling, and then why you started this organization.
Well, I became aware of homeschooling from, I was a part of an organization called the Black Alliance for Educational Options. And I was always a part of advocating for education for parents in general. And I was a part of Mocha Moms. And so, being a part of Mocha Moms, we were always doing educational things with our children, field trips and things like that. So, we were always active and engaged. And during that time, I was a part of BAO, and I believe I was in Dallas, Texas at a
Oh,
conference, and they had a workshop on homeschooling. And I attended the workshop. I think my oldest, who's 20, I think he was 4 years old at the time. And I had been, searching for different, schools and programs to put him in. And I attended that workshop. And when I came out, I thought, you know what? I think this is what, we want to give a try.
okay.
And so when he was 4 years old, I decided I was going to try homeschooling. But as
Okay.
Mama Jessica knows and everyone else knows, I was on the fence for a very long time because I was one of those parents who was so concerned about, him going to college, and if I had to go to work, or if, disaster struck and I put him in school, would he be on grade level and all of
Right.
that? So even in my decision to give homeschooling a try, I didn't I didn't jump, or I didn't let go completely until he was in sixth grade. Believe it or not, that's when I made
Wow.
the decision that this is it. We're going to go all the way through to high school. And then
Okay.
I said, when he gets to high school, high school age, then he'll go to high school. And then when we got to high school, I said, well, that would be going backwards. Why
Right.
would he start high school when, he's been at that level for a long time? So when he was high school level, he started taking college classes. And so he's a homeschool graduate now, and he's
Oh, wow.
going into his second year of college, straight A's, easy transition, very proud of him. So, and then of course, when his little brother came along, that was a given because I always say that I have children on their personalities are the opposite end of the spectrum, and so are their learning styles.
Okay.
My older son is, I mean, he could go with just traditional learning, but because I like to, mix it up, we did a lot of different things. But my younger son, I asked him before this, I said, Ayende, how do I create a nurturing homeschool environment for you? And he was like, oh, you do that. And I said, well, what do you mean? Like, I said, what do you mean? Can you give me some examples? And he's like,
Right.
well, I really don't like to do work. And I said, oh, okay. So, well, tell me what you like to do. And he said that he said, I want to be a professional gamer. Uh I want to get my channel, my subscribers up or something like that. So, I'll speak more on that when we talk about teaching children from a place, uh
Their
teaching
interest.
them from uh areas that they are interested in. I'll speak more
Okay.
on that. So
All right.
yeah, that's my piece.
Mama Jessica.
Um, well, I learned about homeschooling from Mama Monica
Okay.
because she was doing it already with Zion. Even though, yes, she was still going to open houses and things for years. I saw it, through her lens at first. And, before my son was almost 2 years old, I was working full time. I was in the corporate world. Um, I had a position that allowed me some freedom, so I was with him a lot. But I really hadn't put too much thought into his educational path, other than I thought maybe I would put him into one of the African centered schools. There's several in the DC area. And then, as life would have it, 2008, and the crash happened with economics, and so did my position become eliminated. And so now I was home full time, looking for work, and it just dawned on me that okay, I've already, of course, at this point, he's two, been working on colors and shapes and numbers and letters and words and all these different things because that's my child, right? And he has to learn. I just started to put it into somewhat more of a formal structure, but I took my lead from what I saw with Monica and her children and started to really tune in to the way he learns. And that's really how it started for me. I always say I fell into homeschooling, but I've never, thankfully, had my son in any type of traditional learning environment. And anyone would be welcome to have a conversation with him if they're questioning or wondering what has he learned in his almost 14 years. Quite a bit.
What grade is he in now?
On paper, he's a rising ninth grader. But depending on the subject, he can fall anywhere between 8th to 10th grade in regards to reading, in regards to social studies, in regards to science, in regards to math. It depends on what subject you might ask about because he is able to do just that. And I think that's one of the beauties of homeschooling. You can pace, your child can pace themselves.
Yeah. So is that when you came together with other moms and just decided to create something for the community?
Well, in 2004 is when Sankofa Homeschool, a community, was founded. And we were a bunch of Mocha moms who, like I said, we were already engaged with our children because they're your children. We're their first teachers. So,
Right.
we are and should be teaching our children. And so instead of running all around the city and not knowing what each other was doing, we decided we wanted to have this way that we could plan our activities so that if we went to the nature center, we could all go and our children could enjoy each other and we could enjoy each other.
Right.
So we created, it was a Yahoo group, but it was our community listserv. It was the way that we connected and we planned events and how we grew the community. So in 2004, we started off as a Yahoo group. And then 7 years later, after we had run ourselves ragged and done everything in the city and knew every museum, every nook and cranny of an educational program, we said,
Right.
You know what? It would be nice to have one day to come together to do everything. So, we could have Monday through Thursday to actually stay home because homeschool is a misnomer because we were always out in the street.
Right.
So, so Friday became our day where we looked around in our community and we saw all this talent and we saw all these wonderful things that we wanted our children to learn. And so we said, let's pool our resources, find a space, and let's have these classes. And so that's how the Sankofa Homeschool Collective was born.
So I think maybe like 5 years ago, you all had an open house in Northeast at a library. And that was my first time coming. And I was really desperate to find something for my daughter who was probably going into the 9th grade. And I was still working full time, but I worked from home for 9 years. So I knew I would be home, but I just didn't know how it worked with Virginia, with the rules, and I still don't. So I do want you to talk about how people can find out whatever state they're in, how to make sure that they're meeting any requirements. But when I came, it was just so welcoming. But I knew that, all the people who helped me, I have a board for Sydney. So all the people that helped me make decisions were not with it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I just put it to the side, but I was on the Yahoo list. So Maimuna, who was a part of my board for my professional career, is the one who introduced me to you all because I knew that she homeschooled her child. Mm-hmm. And she talked about it and he was always around. And, I thought that it was really cool that she could take him around the world with her and travel and all those types of things. So I would see these really cool things you were doing together come through the Yahoo, and I'd just be sitting back like lightweight hating, like, I want to go to Pentagon City to the whatever and take the picture for her business. There were all different types of things y'all were doing. And I was just like, she has to be a part. So I want us to segue on what it looked like from when you were meeting and what kind of intimacy you all had as far as the students had together and then the parents had together. And then we'll talk about the virtual space because that's new for everybody. So what did it look like on a Friday?
Jessica, you want to answer that, or you?
It was beautiful. We have so many pictures, right? Go to the website and see. Because It really was. We started at the Deanwood Recreation Center in Northeast, and we had what, one, two, three, four, I think five classrooms going on, and we had ages from 3 to 17. And we had such not just such a good time learning and growing, but the social aspect was wonderful too. And so the place that I think used to be the hot spot, if you will, was at lunch. We used to make sure we had an extended lunch, not just 30 minutes, but at least an hour, so that everybody could eat as well as fellowship, if you will. But that green space, they have a field there. And you'd see the mamas over in this circle, and you'd see some other parents on this end. Then the children would be playing. And I'm talking the 17-year-olds playing with the 5-year-olds, So we always had like this kind of one room schoolhouse kind of vibe. And it was a wonderful time because we realized it was something that people needed, wanted, and
Right.
the scary word, we had freedom over it,
Right.
I really think that's part of the thing that sometimes when people ask, well, how does it work? How does the collective work or how does homeschooling work? Well,
Right.
the first thing is to realize that you are in control. We are in control. We have the freedom to determine how our children can learn, what subjects we can advance them to, what instructors they can learn under. And we brought people that were from our community or other parents that had talents, not necessarily certifications and master degrees, but had passion and expertise in areas and come in and teach our children. And so they had people to look at that look just like them that were able to bring these subjects across.
Yeah.
We also
That's
had a lot of
important.
male teachers.
Mhm.
We also had a lot of male teachers, which was very unique.
That's
I mean,
right.
sometimes we had more male teachers than we had women. And for some reason, we always had a lot more boys than we had girls. So that was a good thing.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was just about to say, I didn't see my first male Black teacher until I was 4th grade. And then I never saw another one really again.
Oh,
4th
wow.
grade.
I'm sitting here wondering if I had one.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas.
College, but
in the 80s, the 70s and the 80s. And he was there and he was just doing his thing. I know he had 2 jobs though. That's what I always remember, that he had to have 2 jobs back then. And so, here in the DMV, it's pretty diverse here in Fairfax County anyway, and in Arlington County where my daughter started. She went to Spanish immersion for 7 years. And so there's lots of different, people that look like her, but a lot of the teachers maybe had a little bit of a bias toward a child who got a lot of energy.
oh yes.
So we struggled a lot. And so I love the fact that you said that for parents who has a child that has like a unique learning style, you can give them the information that they want. So for an example, so I want to say 2 things, and then we'll talk about the virtual part of it, and then what the classes look like. And if people want to register, where they can look at the information as you start to curate the classes and things like that. But I believe, like, I'm like metaphysics. So I believe that I put it out there, like, I wanted her to be a part of this so badly, right? And it took years and it didn't look the way that I thought. It took for her to be a junior in high school during COVID to become a part of the Sankofa homeschool, right? So she switched schools because of racism in 2019. Wow. Because of straight blatant racism, Fairfax County, I was able to get my daughter to a place that had more people that looked like her and that she thrived a little bit better. She only went from November to March, and then it was a wrap again. Right. So at least in person. So she was just starting to get her footing. She was just starting to be happy. She wasn't laying in the bed. She wasn't stressed out. And these are the things that she was beforehand, right? Mm-hmm. So I get her here. And so now she's hemming and hawing because she does not want to go to Sankofa because she don't know what it's about. And she just don't want to call nobody mama. That's all she had. She didn't have any other information. She didn't want to call anybody mama. So we put her in Black Girl Magic. Who has a class called Black Girl Magic?
Mama
Sankofa.
Right.
Mama
she took
Kali.
that class, and then she took the Pan-African history class. And the first day that she came out, she said, okay, mommy, you did something good this time.
Aww.
So now we're in summer school. and she's taking an SAT prep course with Mama Prashana. She loves that course, and she loves Mama Prashana's energy.
Yeah.
Because I think it matches her energy.
Yes.
How often do you get that? So
Right.
this is just an example of what we're dealing with here. And she's a senior this year, devastated that she won't have the traditional rite of passage of being a senior. We don't know what this is going to look like for the parents
Right.
who have seniors.
Right.
But I'm still going to put her in whatever classes that I can, whatever she's interested. I let her pick them. So that it's not me beating in her head that she has to do anything. I let her pick them. And so can you talk to us about this new virtual experience and what are the classes that you have had in the past and what might be offered for the fall and what the dates are?
Okay, well, so the classes for the fall, we're hoping that most of the classes that are offered during the summer right now will be repeated, but what we encourage our teachers to do is to what do they call it? Remix it.
Yeah.
Change the theme. Baba Obi's really, really good with that. I like how he teaches Pan-African history based upon, whatever is going on in the world or what we feel that students need at that time. At one point, it was American history. So it was American government. So American government was taught through a Pan-African lens. And so there's the griot class that's taught by Mama Leah, who is a trained Montessori teacher. And we have Baba Sam, who teaches writing. He is amazing. Mama Kawu's Black Girl Magic class, which is amazing. I wish I had a little girl to put in the class. And I'm hoping that we'll add of course, Mama Jessica's World Geography class. I've been trying to get her to do one for the older ones as well, but we're also working on a culinary geography class, like learning geography through cooking and visiting different countries and learning how to prepare the food, and a stock market, learning the stock market, because I think that our learning should be relevant to what's happening right now in this world. And one of the things that we Black folks need is we need passive income. We need to learn very early how to build wealth. And I think that when you are in charge of your child's education, you don't have to, they don't have to be bogged down with busy work and doing stuff that's completely irrelevant. I was watching an episode of Shy, I think that's the name of the class. And there was a scene. So this young man who was going to a public school is now going to the school on the north side, I think, of Chicago. Okay. And so, his parents think that now his life is just going to be so great because now he's in this wonderful school, and they're sitting in the class and they're learning about the French Renaissance or something. And I'm thinking to myself, how useless. Now, if he wants to be an artist or if he wants to be a museum director, then that may have some relevance. But for the large majority of them, it has absolutely no relevance. And so one of the things I love most about homeschooling is that, you can really hone in on what it is that your child is interested in and is gifted in. Like one day Allende came to me and he said, "Mom, I think I want to go into computers. I'm really good at computers." And he discovered this because he had the freedom to discover it. And because I just think it would be a disaster if he were in school. He doesn't really like to sit down, because I do use some curriculum, like things I feel like you need to know, like spelling and math, the basics. And, that's usually the worst part of our homeschool day, actually. And so for him, because a lot of our children get thrown away if they can't excel in that one area. And everything else that they are doing is seen as not learning, when that's the opposite. So what I've always done with him is that whatever it is that he loves, I find a way to teach him what he needs to know through that. And at one point, it was Minecraft. Everything was Minecraft. So some white lady whose son loved Minecraft too created the game academy or something, and she had history classes and science classes and all of this around Minecraft. And I'm like, okay, that's what we're going to use. You like Minecraft? Okay, you're going to learn through Minecraft. And he enjoyed it, and he did it. And so these are the kinds of things that homeschooling gives you the freedom to do, but you have to trust yourself, you have to trust your child, and you have to know that, because I'm thinking to myself, why do parents put their children through the standardized test if they're not mandatory and they don't determine the future? Like, what's the point? If the parents are concerned about whether they'll do well on tests, just start preparing for the SAT now.
Yep.
And forget about these tests that the schools use to measure. I don't know, So yeah, I went off on a tangent.
No, but it's a good point, Mama Monica, because as Mama Wendy said, how they were just looking for the SOL test to teach them for the test.
Mm-hmm.
So for me as a parent, then you're missing, or I'm missing, or my child is missing the point of the educational process. Isn't the point to get you to learn and master what is being presented to you? So if you're only learning it to take this test and then the test is done, now what? So you learned it for the 2 weeks leading up to the test. And now 2 weeks later, if I asked you a question from it, you're looking at me and not knowing what to respond, don't recall any of it, and it didn't have any worth to you that you can relate it to your life. What was the point? Did we just waste a month and a half? Possibly, And in regards to teaching to your interests, I think that's where sometimes there's a disconnect with, do you know your child? Have you sat down and talked to them? Have you really asked them or tuned in to what their interests are? And that does take, some effort. And we're all busy. We're working parents, we're single parents, we're multitasking parents. There's a lot going on. But if you tap into and look at and listen to that child, they will direct you. I feel similar with Monica, how she used to respond to signing her older son up for things. And his response would always be, why did you sign me up for this, Mom? I didn't ask you to sign me up for this. And so I don't know if Ethan heard him, my son heard him say all that those years, but now that's his line to fill in. And, I do the same as you, right? We sign him up for all kinds of things and we see how it pans out. And I signed him up for this music production class that's virtually happening. And, I gave him one good friend in there, so he knew one person. But now he has the class at 5:30 today. They had an assignment from last week. He's with another student, not even the friend I put him in the class with, and they're working on their music production. I overhear him the other day speaking about all he knows about his drums. He's been drumming since he was in diapers, he says. And he's giving all of the repertoire and the background on all the drums. Baba Mahiri would be so proud. But my point is now, all the pushback I initially got, it's 5:30 on Wednesdays, that's my gaming time. But now your gaming time has turned into music production time, working with a partner that you just met 2 weeks ago time, and ready for the class before it even starts time.
Right.
You see how we still have to be the guides, but you let them go with it and they will learn.
Yeah. It's so funny because you also have Baba Uriah teaches a let's grow your own food, right? So I called myself, because I knew I wanted to be in the class. I signed us up for that class. Sydney was like, Mommy, come on now. I don't care about none of that stuff. So I joined the adult class, and I'm excited to be learning. And we had class today at 10. We talked about the moon cycles and how you grow and all those kinds of things. And she's loving her Mama Prashana and her class. So it definitely is not trying to pigeonhole them, which is what is usually happens. They just have to go through the system because it's how the system is set up. Where here you have more flexibility, you have support, you have a community, which is what we have always come from. And we've kind of gotten a little segmented because we just out here, many of us on our own are out here trying to get them to the soccer, trying to get them to dance, trying to get them to this meeting, trying to get their homework done, and then do it all again the next day. Mm-hmm. It's a hustle. Mm-hmm. So can you, and what I did want to say about the Pan-African class was that I guess when we started Sankofa, was it in April or so? Their assignment was to figure out why the US wouldn't let Cuba in to support the COVID efforts.
Yep.
Who
Right
stuck
on
with
time.
that? Like Sydney was like, "Mommy, no, this is what happened. She had to do a report, but he didn't ask for it." So she's like, "But he didn't even ask for it." I'm like, "See, that's the point. It's not because he was going to ask for it. It was for you to learn about what the material was, not to turn it into check a box." So I'm still deprogramming her brain to just check the box, to do an assignment to check the box. So she wasn't too happy about that, but I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Actually, I just mentioned to my son, I think it was yesterday, we're having, shall I call, one of our heated discussions. And he wanted to know, why does he have to take all these Sankofa classes? It's summer. We usually don't have Sankofa in the summer. Well, this is our first summer session. It's COVID 2020, and welcome to the summer of 2020. So we have our virtual classes for Sankofa. And I said to him, he says, "Well, why can't I just take one class?" I said, "Do you realize that Sankofa, if we only had one class, what it would be?" I said, "It'd be Baba Obi's history class."
Right.
Because if we had no other classes, that is a must.
Right.
It has to be in it. Just because of the way Baba Obi brings it, knows it, and communicates it, and gets our children completely involved in it.
Right.
Let me just, I have to share this. I hope Aina doesn't get upset, but I just feel like that homeschooling and the drumming community and Baba Obi's class, I feel like all of that has made him who he is. He's a part, the community effort has helped to shape him. And so for his SYEP program, he had to write what qualities he was looking for in a mate, and what qualities that he brought to the table. And he was listing the qualities for his mate, and one of them was, she has to be down for the people. And I was like, that's Baba Obi right there. Not only is he going to carry the torch, but his woman must carry the torch. So for me, that's success. Not how well he does on a standardized test or a even the SAT, but if you have love for yourself and you can critically think, and you're confident about who you are, I feel like you'll be successful at whatever it is you want in life.
Yes, I agree. So can you tell us about a day in the life, from the time you wake up in the morning till the time you go to bed? How do you manage all of the different curriculums and lessons for your children?
Well, so right now, summer is not a typical, homeschool. Now, before COVID, I always put my children in a bunch of different summer camps, because I wanted them to learn during the summer, but I wanted them to have different experiences. But it's virtual now, so he does his SYEP, and I required him to take one class, but actually added a second class for summer. So he's taking a summer class. But before that, I'm a single homeschooling mom, so I work outside of the home 3 days a week.
Okay.
And so I was leaving him work to do, and then if he claimed he didn't understand it, he would skip it. And so I decided that on those days when I was at work, I would have him do Time for Learning. And Time for Learning is an online curriculum that's very engaging. It speaks to the way that he learns. He likes to do it, and I can check to see if it's done. And so what I would do on those days is I hide the remote and I hide the headset. So in order for you, that your exit ticket is, you need to call me and tell me that you've done it. And I can also log in as a parent and see that he's done it. And then he will get his, his headset and his remote control back. And then on Thursdays and Fridays, of course, I'm home. And so we can do the things that I want to do. Fridays is Sankofa, so that fills in a lot. And then Thursdays. And then also, if this is the other thing, if you're homeschooling, you don't school doesn't have to happen from 8 to 3.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
just say, you're working from home. You could, and your child would probably love you for it. You
Yeah.
could let them sleep late,
Yeah.
play on the game, do them, and then once you're done with working, if you're not too exhausted, that at that time you could start, your homeschooling, or you could lay out the work that you want them to do and they can work on it. And then after you're done with your work, you can check it and answer questions. So you can, there's ways to be creative with it.
That's very similar to what I was doing. I'm an adjunct at the University of the District of Columbia's community college. And so my courses are primarily between the hours of 9 a.m. and noon. And so last spring and previous semesters, I would do something very similar. I would set out his writing assignments to write in cursive. He has a book, a curriculum that he follow, and then his language arts. And then I would give him, he had to spend time on IXL, which has science and math mostly, and that's online. And then he would have an option of something I created for him on Clever Dragons. Clever Dragons is something for male children, where you can assign certain things to them in a certain grade range, various topics. And so, same thing like Monica, I could check and make sure he had completed those things, and then you could move on to any extracurricular activities. And then that gave us an opportunity to review things too when I did get in later in the afternoon, so we could review or check over anything that maybe he didn't do or needed assistance with. So you really can fine tune it to your lifestyle. And, both Monica and I have used that word many times in talking about homeschooling. It becomes part of your lifestyle. And so it doesn't have to fit in any square or any circle, or triangle shaped situation. It fits into your lifestyle. So just as you mentioned, Mama Maimuna traveling and taking care of her artistry, and she has her son right along with her, at the same time, but he is learning and doing, I'm sure, a variety of things because it fits within their lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is, I lost my thought. What is the deadline? Oh, I know. For parents who are in different states, is there like a website they can go to figure out what the requirements are? Do you have to turn in something to your state or the district in May to show that they've, made these, that they've checked these boxes?
Well, I recommend that everyone visit, it's called the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, hslda.org. They are the definitive legal organization for homeschooling. And
Yes.
every state's requirements are listed on their website. It's not even bad to have a membership, because if you ever need legal representation
Yes.
for anything, they're there for you. And depending upon the state that you live in, you may have to keep a portfolio, or you may have to report at a certain time. In DC, we have to notify OSSI, which is the Office of the State Superintendent of Education, I believe. We have to notify them by August 15th that we're homeschooling. We submit a letter, and required to keep a portfolio for 2 years for our students. But everyone does not have a portfolio review like in Maryland, where all homeschoolers have portfolio reviews. And I'm not sure about Virginia. Each state is different, so you do need to know the laws of your state, and HSLDA is the first place I would look.
Yeah.
Okay, I just put that in the chat for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was gonna say, one of the really unique things, even though it's COVID, the mamas are creating a potential trip to go to the Maryland Eastern Shore on like a farming exhibition. So I'm excited about that. Like, me and Sydney, we're gonna be on a road trip with the mamas, and it's gonna be exciting. Now, she doesn't know yet. I'm just gonna say, be ready, and then we're gonna go.
Oh, you've learned already. See, that's exactly what you do. You plan and then tell.
And then tell. But so we're wrapping up. If anybody has any questions, please put it in the box. If you have any like last words for parents who might be just a little bit nervous about it or might be side-eyeing it still, what can they do? Because you're virtual now. So this was your first time being virtual. What did that look like for you? And how has that like expanded the reach for people who really wanted to get their kids into this, so that the people who are interested can, know that we're still on the early edges of having a virtual Sankofa specifically, and how they can participate if they'd like.
Well, we were kind of thrown into it,
Yeah.
Right. We were planning an in-person session.
Yes, we were in the middle of planning an in-person session, and I must say, this has been really a silver lining because, like the Sankofa community is our virtual community, and then we had the collective classes, and everyone wasn't able to participate in the collective classes because, people in Sankofa live all over the DMV, as far away as Baltimore, some in Philadelphia, and we've had families move away. Mama Keisha is in Nigeria and she's participating now. Mama
Right.
Kim is in Austin, Texas, I believe.
San Antonio. Yep.
San Antonio, Texas.
Yep.
Now she's participating. So virtual Sankofa has opened the doors for families across the world and for those who have moved away to, to reconnect with us. I miss seeing my sisters each week because that's the other benefit. The children get to see their friends, but I also get to see my friends. I get to talk to my friends at lunchtime and laugh and have a good time and get filled up for the week. So so that part is missing, but our children we're continuing in our mission of providing culturally affirming learning for our children, where they can, those basics that they're learning at home, they can apply, and they can just learn in the company of other people whose parents share the same vision. So the virtual, we're not going back. Even when it's time for us to have classes in session again, we're going to keep a virtual day as well, because so many people have asked for it over the years that we were like, that's too much work. It's a lot of work putting these Fridays together.
Right.
But now that we kind of have it under our belt and know how to do it, why not?
Right. Well, I appreciate it.
I wanted to note for the fall, we do have our date spans ready. We're going to start for Fridays on the 18th of September, and we're going to go for 10 weeks until the 13th of November. So we're going to run 10 weeks through for the fall.
Okay. And fingers crossed, I submitted a proposal to do health and wellness for children. So,
Mama, you are so in.
Oh, I'm in. So if your child is interested in learning how to tap more into their humanness versus just the artificial intelligence of the phone, and how to digest and rest and eat good and eat well, that's what I'm going to be teaching them, because I wish that I had learned, and how food can be used as a weapon, and how to have them be able to understand and navigate that at an early age. So I'm excited about it.
And that's another one of the benefits of homeschooling and community. When we parents sit around and we talk about what's going on in our lives and with our children, and we hear what other parents are saying that their children need. Jessica and I often look at each other and say, well, how about a class around that? So all those things that you're going to teach are things I want my child to know, but sometimes they need to hear it from someone else.
Right. No matter how long you've been saying it, when Mama Wendy says it, it's going to be as if I never heard it before, and it's the best thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm super excited about it. Sydney is just like, oh my God, you're always in something, but whatever. So
can I make one quick point? I guess I thought of this before we started today in regards to homeschooling, is also to be careful, I think, for especially a lot of the families that are being kind of thrown into the situation now, or feeling thrown into it because of the COVID situation, and schools making various plans for how the fall is going to look. To be careful with kind of thinking you have to just recreate school at home. It does not have to be, as Monica mentioned, a day that starts at 8 and ends at 4. It doesn't have to be this packaged curriculum necessarily. And tuning in, like I mentioned earlier, to your child, because everyone has a different path to their education and then the outcome of that education. So really getting to spend some time almost deschooling, if that's a topic or a word to use, of deschooling your child. So they've been in there for 7 years. Maybe take, 7 weeks or even 7 days. And just see what their interests are. Relax a bit on the educational reins and see what they are drawn to or see what they open up to. And that'll give you a little more insight, again, as to teaching to their interests. Because Lord knows a child, when they're interested, is in it and they ask for more. And that leads them to other things. So I really think yes, you really do. Just give them, again, the word freedom. It's scary sometimes, to have the freedom over the educational path of your children. But it's enlightening and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I say, unless we have anything else, we can end it on that. It can be enlightening and beautiful for both the parents and the children.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I'm definitely seeing it with my daughter. She's going to finish her 12th grade year in, regular school, but she's going to have that Sankofa influence too. And she's going to take some classes. So we're going to figure out how that works. But I'm grateful for you all for keeping the community together. I read all the emails. I try to get in where I fit in. I'm excited to be participating this fall. And, if anybody has any questions, it's sankofahomeschool.org. And then Mama Monica is Mother Jegna at msn.com. They'll be free to answer questions. And if you want to, they have 20 plus years of experience. So if you really want to get a more intimate look at what it could look like, check out the website and, ask questions, because that's the only way that you'll really get it. What'd you say, Mama Monica?
Facebook page as well, Sankofa
Yes.
Homeschool.
Okay, Facebook page as well. So I'll put all those things in the show notes. So for those of you who are watching after, you can look at it. So Demita Coates Ray says, hey, Mocha Moms, great show.
Hi, Demita.
Hey, Demita.
So thank you for joining me again. I want for the viewers, the Sanctuary Radio Show, we're in summer school. We're talking about education. And so tomorrow I'm having Erica Taylor, who is the producer and the director of the Red Alert movie. And that's all about fibroids and talking about her experience with fibroids, my experience with fibroids, and why 80% of Black women, women of African descent are diagnosed with fibroids by the time they're 50. So she's creating a documentary and we're going to unpack that. Many of us experience that in our community. So it's going to be very important. So please check us out tomorrow, 4 o'clock. So this is the double header this week. Usually I do one a week, but the information is so good. I want you all to just know as much as you can. So tomorrow, join us here at 4 o'clock, sankofahomeschool.org. Email Mama Monica. Thank you again, Mama Monica and Mama Jessica. And I'll see you on the Yahoo groups. Oh, what, aren't we moving? We're moving.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'll see you there too. I'm trying to keep up with all of it. So thanks again for your time, and stay safe and stay dry.
Thank you too.
All righty. Bye-bye.